The Galactic Council's grand reception hall buzzed with excitement. 27 different species from across the known universe had gathered to welcome the newest potential member of their peaceful alliance. Humans. The room sparkled with light, reflected off polished surfaces, and soft music played from hidden speakers. Kelly Barnes smoothed down her formal diplomatic uniform and took a deep breath. As Earth's chosen representative for this historic occasion, she carried the weight of humanity's first impression on her shoulders. The small ornate box in her hand suddenly felt much heavier than it actually was. "Remember," Admiral George Phillips whispered beside her. "Just present the gift. Say the words we practiced and step back. Nothing fancy." Kelly nodded. "I've rehearsed it 100 times, sir. It'll be perfect." The Admiral's expression suggested he wasn't entirely convinced. The last 3 diplomatic missions had ended with misunderstandings. Humanity couldn't afford another mistake. A tall, slender alien with iridescent blue skin approached them. 4 arms extended in the universal greeting gesture the humans had been taught. "Welcome, Earth representatives," the alien said in carefully practiced English. "I am Zix Vorn, Chief Security Officer of the Council. Please follow me to the presentation area." Kelly and Admiral Phillips followed Zix Vorn across the massive chamber. Hundreds of eyes, some with multiple pupils, some glowing, some blinking, sideways, watched their every move. Kelly fought to maintain her diplomatic composure despite her racing heart. They reached the central platform where 7 senior council members waited. Each represented a founding species of the Galactic Council. They wore elaborate ceremonial robes and regarded the humans with expressions Kelly couldn't begin to interpret. Admiral Phillips stepped forward. "Honorable council members, we come, in peace and friendship. It is our custom to present a gift as a symbol of our sincere desire for mutual cooperation and understanding." He stepped back, giving Kelly her cue. She approached the raised platform and opened the ornate box. Inside sat a beautiful mechanical clock, made of polished brass and crystal. It had been specially designed for this occasion, featuring intricate gears, a swinging pendulum, and tiny symbols representing both Earth and the known Council species. "On behalf of Earth and all humanity," Kelly said clearly, "we present this timepiece. It represents our appreciation for the passage of time, the craftsmanship of creation, and the precise movements that bring different elements into harmony." She placed the clock on the presentation pedestal and pressed the small button to activate it. The clock began ticking, each sound crisp and clear in the now silent chamber. The pendulum swung back and forth in a gentle rhythm. One of the council members leaned forward, compound eyes reflecting the gleaming brass. "Fascinating construction. It measures the passing of moments through mechanical means?" "Yes," Kelly smiled, relieved at the positive reaction. "It's an ancient human art form. This particular piece was designed to—" She was interrupted by a sudden louder tick from the clock. Then another. The ticking began to increase in volume and speed. Zix Vorn stepped closer, pulling out a small device that began to emit a warning tone. "I'm detecting unfamiliar energy patterns." "That's expected," Kelly said quickly. "It's just preparing for the pendulum's swing accelerated dramatically. The clock's face began to glow with increasing brightness. "Evacuation protocol," Zix Vorn shouted, all 4 arms gesturing widely. "Unknown energy signature building." The chamber erupted into chaos. Council members scattered in all directions. Some species moved with blinding speed. Others rolled or slithered toward exits. Security personnel rushed toward Kelly and Admiral Phillips. "Wait!" Kelly protested as 2 large security officers grabbed her arms. "It's not dangerous. It's just secure the human device," ordered Zix Vorn. A containment team rushed forward with a transparent bubble-like shield. They dropped it over the clock, which was now vibrating on the pedestal. "Containment failing," one technician called out. "Energy signature increasing exponentially. Jettison protocol." Zix Vorn commanded. Before Kelly could explain, the floor beneath the pedestal opened up. The clock, still inside the containment bubble, dropped through the opening. View screens around the chamber activated automatically, showing the exterior of the massive space station. The containment bubble shot away from the station like a tiny comet. Everyone in the chamber watched the screens in tense silence. Seconds later, the bubble containing the clock exploded in a dazzling display of colorful lights. The explosion formed shifting patterns in space, eventually arranging into the word hello in multiple languages, including those of all 27 council species. The light show lasted about 30 seconds before fading away. The chamber remained dead silent. Kelly looked around at the stunned faces of the alien representatives. Admiral Phillips had his head in his hands. It was just supposed to be a friendly fireworks display, Kelly finally said in a small voice. A celebration of our meeting. Zixvorn approached slowly, all four arms now holding different security devices pointed at Kelly. You deliberately brought an explosive device to a peace conference? Not an explosive, just a small controlled light show, Kelly tried to explain. It was meant to be a surprise, a happy moment we could all share. A surprise, Zixvorn repeated the word as if it were completely foreign. You intentionally created a device that behaved unpredictably, built anticipation through mechanical failure signals, and then detonated it in space. Admiral Phillips stepped forward. Perhaps we misunderstood appropriate gift protocols. On D. Earth celebrations often include harmless light displays called fireworks. An older council member with gray skin and 6 eyes moved forward. Admiral, are you saying humans regularly exchange explosive devices as gestures of goodwill? Well, not exactly explosive, the Admiral stammered. More decorative, ceremonial items that sometimes include elements of surprise or transformation. The council members conferred among themselves in hushed tones. Kelly and Admiral Phillips waited anxiously. Finally, the lead council representative addressed them. Humans, we appreciate your cultural offering. However, for safety reasons, we must institute an immediate protocol regarding all future human gifts. 1 week later, Kelly watched from an observation window as a team of specially trained council security experts in protective gear carefully examined a box of chocolate cookies that Lisa Murray, the senior human diplomat, had brought for her alien counterpart. The inspection team used advanced scanning equipment, robotic arms, and various sensors to examine each cookie individually. They jumped nervously when their instruments detected heat-sensitive compounds in the chocolate chips. Admiral Phillips stood beside Kelly, shaking his head. I still can't believe they created an entire bomb disposal unit just for handling human gifts. Maybe we should have started with something simpler than a clock with a fireworks surprise, Kelly admitted. Agreed. Next time, no surprises, said the Admiral as they watched the alien bomb squad carefully place each cookie in a separate containment unit. Though I suspect it's too late now, I don't think the Council will ever trust a human bearing gifts again. They both winced as alarms suddenly blared. One of the cookies had apparently begun to melt under the scanner's heat. 6 months had passed since the clock incident. The initial shock had faded and humanity had been conditionally accepted into the Galactic Council. The relationship remained tense, with many species still suspicious of human intentions. Frank Martinez wiped sweat from his forehead as he made final adjustments to his invention. The small laboratory aboard the human diplomatic vessel hummed with energy as machines monitored his work. Frank had spent 3 years developing this new power cell technology, and today he would present it to the Council's Science Division. This has to work, he muttered to himself. No surprises, no explosions, just clean, efficient energy. The door slid open, and Director Paul Johnson walked in. As the head of Human Council Relations, he looked perpetually tired these days. Are you ready, Frank? The Council scientists are waiting in the Technology Exchange Hall. Frank nodded, carefully placing his invention in a clear containment case. It's ready. This power cell can produce 3 times the energy of their current technology with half the resources. They're going to love it. Director Johnson didn't share his enthusiasm. Just remember the protocols. No sudden movements, no dramatic reveals, and for the love of everything, no pressing any buttons during the presentation. I know. Kelly's mistake won't be repeated. They walked through the curved hallways of the Galactic Council's science station. Council members of various species moved aside as they passed, some watching with obvious caution. The Technology Exchange Hall was a large circular room with demonstration tables arranged in a ring. Each table had advanced scanning equipment, and containment fields ready to activate at the first sign of danger. Several council scientists waited, including representatives from the 7 founding species. Frank placed his containment case on the designated table. Immediately, scanning beams swept over it from multiple angles. "Greetings," Frank said, using the formal council introduction he had practiced. "I am Engineer Frank Martinez of Earth. I present for your consideration a new power generation technology that may benefit all council species." A tall, thin alien with glossy black skin stepped forward. Council member Krelith had become known as one of the most vocal skeptics regarding human membership. "Our scans detect unusual molecular structures," Krelith said. "Explain the composition." Before proceeding, Frank nodded respectfully. "The outer shell is made of a specialized polymer developed on Earth. Inside is a core of rare Earth elements arranged in a specific pattern that allows for clean energy production through a controlled electron exchange process." Dr. Susan Clark, the human xenobiologist assigned to the presentation, added, "We've analyzed the materials against all known council species' biological vulnerabilities. The components are inert and safe." The council scientists conferred among themselves, then nodded permission to continue. Frank carefully opened the containment case and removed his power cell. It was about the size of a small coffee cup, with a smooth silver surface that pulsed with a gentle blue light. "This power cell can operate continuously for 5 years without recharging or replacement," Frank explained. "It produces no waste products and can be fully recycled at the end of its life cycle." The council scientists leaned closer, their various sensory organs focused on the device. Their initial wariness seemed to be giving way to genuine interest. "What energy output can it generate?" asked a scientist with feathery appendages. Frank smiled. This was going well. "At peak efficiency, approximately 15 kilowatts, enough to power most standard council equipment. With your permission, I'll activate it now for a demonstration." After receiving cautious approval, Frank pressed a small, recessed button on the power cell. The blue pulsing light stabilized and a soft hum filled the air as the device came to life. "As you can see," Frank explained proudly, "it's completely stable, and one of the council scanning devices suddenly emitted a shrill alarm. The scientists backed away from the table. "Emergency protocols," shouted a security officer. "Unknown reaction detected." Frank looked confused. "That's impossible. The cell is completely stable. There must be some mistake." A council scientist with multiple eye stalks was studying a holographic readout. "The power cell is releasing trace particles that are reacting with our standard atmosphere mixture." Another alarm sounded, this one louder and more urgent. The room's ventilation system kicked into high gear, and containment fields shimmered into place around Frank's demonstration table. Director Johnson grabbed Frank's arm. "What's happening?" "I don't know," Frank protested. "It wasn't designed to do this." Council member Krelith pointed an accusing appendage at them. "The human has brought another dangerous device. Evacuation procedures now." The room emptied quickly, as scientists and security personnel rushed to exits. Frank and Director Johnson were escorted out by guards wearing protective gear. Behind them, specialized robots moved in to secure the power cell, which was now glowing more intensely. Later, in a secure meeting room, Frank and Director Johnson faced a panel of council security experts. The atmosphere was tense. "Let me understand correctly," said the chief security officer. "You created a power cell that, when exposed to our standard station atmosphere, catalyzes a reaction that could potentially have destroyed half this section?" Frank looked miserable. "The reaction was completely unexpected. Earth's atmosphere is different from your station's. Our tests never showed any chemical reactivity." Dr. Susan Clark added, "Our preliminary analysis shows that the trace xenon in your atmosphere reacted with a rare Earth component in the power cell. The reaction was building energy exponentially." "I was trying to solve your energy crisis, not create a bomb," Frank said quietly. The council representatives exchanged glances. The senior security officer made a gesture that humans had learned meant resignation. "The council has decided to create a dedicated human technologies division," the officer announced. "It will be staffed entirely by experts in explosive ordnance disposal, chemical containment, and emergency response. Director Johnson sighed deeply. Is that really necessary? This was a simple oversight in environmental testing. 2 incidents in 6 months suggest a pattern, replied Councilmember Krelleth. First, a deliberately explosive clock, and now, an energy device that nearly destabilized our science station. It wasn't deliberate, Frank protested. Perhaps not, Krelleth conceded. But the fact remains that human technology seems inherently dangerous when introduced to our environments. As they left the meeting, Frank walked with slumped shoulders beside Director Johnson. I don't understand, Frank said. My invention was supposed to help them, to show that humans have valuable contributions to make. Director Johnson patted his shoulder sympathetically. I know, but you have to admit, from their perspective, we're starting to look like a species obsessed with things that go boom. So what happens now? Now, said Director Johnson with a weary smile, any human who wants to share technology with the Council gets to meet their new best friends, the Bomb Squad. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council Station had been transformed for a historic occasion. Colorful banners representing both human and Council cultures hung from the high ceiling. Soft music played, blending Earth melodies with the harmonic tones preferred by most Council species. Today marked the first ever wedding between a human and an alien. Maria Sanchez adjusted her white dress nervously as she waited in a small room off the main hall. She had fallen in love with Thelox Bryn, a Council diplomat, during peace negotiations following the unfortunate clock and power cell incidents. Their relationship had surprised everyone, but had also become a symbol of hope for better human-alien relations. You look beautiful, honey, said Carol Sanchez, Maria's mother, as she straightened her daughter's veil. Thanks, Mom, Maria replied. I just hope nothing goes wrong. The Council has finally started to trust us a little. Joe Sanchez, Maria's father, stood nearby holding a beautifully wrapped package. Speaking of trust, I hope they don't make a fuss about our wedding gift. It's just traditional champagne and crystal glasses. Maria looked at the gift with sudden concern. Did you clear it with security first? Remember what happened with Frank's power cell? Of course I did, Joe said confidently. Chief Security Officer Alan Green helped me submit all the paperwork. He said it would be fine. At that moment, Alan Green himself appeared at the door. His formal uniform could not hide his worried expression. Mr. and Mrs. Sanchez, there's a small issue with your gift, he said carefully. Maria's heart sank. What now? Well, the security scan detected high-pressure contents and fragile silicon-based components, Alan explained. Standard protocol requires... He was interrupted by alarms blaring throughout the station. Red lights began flashing in the corridors. Oh no, Maria whispered. Through the open door, they watched as a team of Council security officers in protective gear rushed into the main hall. Guests from both human and alien delegations moved aside in confusion. At the center of the commotion was a bomb disposal robot, slowly approaching the gift table where Joe had placed the champagne earlier. Dad, you said you cleared it, Maria cried. I did. I filed all the forms, Joe protested. Alan sighed. You filed them, yes, but the approval process takes 3 weeks. The gift was flagged as potentially dangerous during the standard security sweep. Maria buried her face in her hands. This can't be happening. The security team had now placed a transparent containment bubble around the champagne bottle and crystal glasses. The robot carefully lifted the entire setup and began carrying it away from the wedding area. Where are they taking it? Carol asked. To the reinforced testing chamber, Alan replied. Standard procedure for all human items that haven't passed full security clearance. Maria rushed out of the room, following the security team despite protests from her parents and Alan. The wedding guests watched in confusion as the bride chased after a bomb disposal robot carrying her parents' gift. In the main security center of the station, Council technicians monitored screens showing the interior of a sealed testing chamber. Inside, the robot had placed the gift on a reinforced table. Maria arrived just in time to see Thelox Bryn speaking urgently with the security chief. Please, Thelox Bryn was saying, it is a traditional Earth gift. My research indicates it poses No threat. The security chief, a tall, purple-skinned alien with 4 arms, shook his head. Protocol is clear. The pressurized container must be opened in a controlled environment. Maria pushed her way forward. It's just champagne. It's meant for celebrating. Thelox Bryn turned to her, his silver eyes showing concern. Maria, my love, I'm trying to explain, but the readings show a container under significant pressure. Of course it's under pressure, that's how champagne works, Maria exclaimed. The security chief gestured to the screens. We are proceeding with caution. Please step back. On the screen they watched as mechanical arms unwrapped the gift package, revealing the elegant bottle of champagne and 2 crystal flutes. A scanning beam passed over the items repeatedly. Beginning controlled opening procedure, announced a technician. With precise movements, the mechanical arms gripped the cork of the champagne bottle. As pressure was applied, the cork suddenly shot out with unexpected force in the station's lower gravity. It ricocheted off the ceiling of the testing chamber and struck a light fixture, which sparked and went dark. Simultaneously, a mist of champagne sprayed from the bottle, creating a cloud that filled part of the chamber. Alarms immediately began to sound. Airborne particles detected, a technician shouted. Unknown liquid dispersal. Several security officers watching the procedure suddenly began to show signs of distress. One sneezed repeatedly, while another's skin began to change color. Medical team to security, called the chief through the station's communication system. Possible contamination event. Maria watched in horror as chaos unfolded. Thelox Bryn placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. I cannot believe this is happening at our wedding, Maria said, fighting back tears. 2 hours later, the situation had finally been contained. The wedding ceremony had been postponed, and Maria sat with her parents and Thelox Bryn in a conference room facing the council's scientific committee. After thorough analysis, said the lead scientist, we have determined that the substance known as champagne contains ethanol compounds that trigger allergic responses in 4 council species. Additionally, the carbon dioxide pressure system represents an uncontrolled propulsive device. It's a celebration drink, Joe tried to explain. The bubbles are what make it special. The scientist made a note on a tablet. The council has officially classified all fermented human beverages as potential biological weapons due to their pressurized nature and allergenic compounds. Maria looked at Thelox Bryn in despair. He squeezed her hand reassuringly. This was supposed to be the happiest day of our lives, she said quietly. And it still can be, Thelox Bryn replied. These are merely cultural differences we must overcome. Chief Security Officer Alan Green, who had been standing quietly in the corner, stepped forward. If I may suggest, he said, perhaps we could establish clear guidelines for human gifts and celebrations, a sort of cultural exchange manual. The council members conferred briefly before the lead scientist responded. An excellent suggestion. Until such guidelines are established, all human food and beverages must be evaluated by the Biological Weapons Division before being permitted on council stations. As they left the conference room, Maria noticed a new sign being installed outside the security office. Human Gifts Processing Center. All items must be submitted 21 days before intended use. I'm so sorry this happened, Carol said to her. Daughter, we only wanted to share in your special moment. Maria nodded, leaning against Thelox Bryn. I know, Mom, but maybe this is just another step in humans and aliens learning to understand each other. Indeed, Thelox Bryn agreed. Though, I admit I am now curious about this explosive drink I was not permitted to taste, despite. Nancy Williams stood before her 3rd grade class with a bright smile. 22 children looked up at her with excitement. The classroom walls were covered with colorful artwork and space-themed decorations. Today is very special, Nancy announced. We're going to make artwork for the alien children on the Galactic Council Station. This is called the Children's Art Exchange Program. The students cheered and clapped. Since humans had joined the Galactic Council, children had been fascinated by stories about alien species. This program was designed to improve relations between humans and aliens. After the unfortunate incidents with the clock, the power cell, and the wedding champagne. Each of you will make a drawing or painting that shows something about life on Earth, Nancy explained. The alien children will send their artwork to us too. This will help everyone understand each other better. Little Sam Fields raised his hand. Can I draw anything I want? Of course, Sam, Nancy replied. Just make it colorful and interesting. We want to show the aliens the beauty of Earth. The children eagerly began working with paper, crayons, markers, and paint. Nancy walked around the classroom, offering encouragement and suggestions. She was particularly happy to see them using the special art supplies she had purchased for the occasion, glitter pens and glow-in-the-dark paint. These will really make your drawings stand out, she told the class. The alien children will love seeing how Earth art can sparkle and glow. By the end of the day, the classroom was filled with wonderful artwork. Sam had drawn a unicorn with a rainbow mane using lots of glow-in-the-dark paint. Other children had created pictures of forests, oceans, cities, and families. Many had used generous amounts of glitter and phosphorescent materials. These are beautiful, Nancy praised as she carefully collected the artwork. Tomorrow I'll send them to the Galactic Council Station. I'm sure the alien children will be very impressed. 2 days later, Nancy was teaching her class about multiplication when her tablet beeped with an urgent message. She looked at it and frowned. It was from the human embassy on the council station requesting an immediate video call. Children, please work on your math worksheets quietly for a few minutes, Nancy said. I need to take an important call. She stepped into the small office next to her classroom and accepted the call. Dr. Ryan Baker, the Human Cultural Liaison officer, appeared on the screen. He looked very stressed. Ms. Williams, I'm calling about the artwork your class sent to the station, he said. Nancy smiled. Oh yes. Have the alien children received them? The kids are so excited to hear their reactions. Dr. Baker rubbed his forehead. There's been a situation. The entire east wing of the station is currently under quarantine. Nancy's smile disappeared. Quarantine? Why? When the package of artwork arrived, station security detected unknown radiation and chemical compounds. They triggered emergency protocols immediately, Dr. Baker explained. The artwork is currently isolated in a Level 3 containment field, while specialists in hazmat suits analyze it. Nancy was shocked. But it's just children's drawings, with some glitter and glow-in-the-dark paint. That's exactly the problem. Dr. Baker sighed. The compounds in your glow-in-the-dark materials are completely unknown to council species, and what you call glitter registered as thousands of tiny crystalline objects with unknown properties. Nancy sat down heavily. I had no idea. I was just trying to make the artwork special. I understand, Dr. Baker said, but several council members were accidentally exposed to the artwork before containment. They're reporting some unusual symptoms. Nancy gasped. Are they sick? Are the children's drawings toxic to aliens? Not exactly sick, Dr. Baker replied, looking uncomfortable. It seems the phosphorescent compounds in your art supplies react with alien biology in unexpected ways. The affected council members are reporting what we might call hallucinogenic effects. Nancy's eyes widened. Hallucinogenic? You mean the glow-in-the-dark paint is making them see things? In a manner of speaking, Dr. Baker confirmed. 3 council members who touched one of the drawings are describing the experience as seeing the universe in new dimensions. The education director, Vrem Pax, has been staring at a wall for 2 hours, claiming to be communicating with cosmic energies. Nancy covered her mouth in horror. Which drawing was it? Dr. Baker consulted a tablet, one labeled Sam FY My Unicorn Friend. Nancy groaned. Sam used a lot of glow-in-the-dark paint on that one. The council has officially banned all human art supplies from the station, Dr. Baker continued. But unofficially, several scientists have requested samples for research purposes. Later that day, Nancy stood before her class again. The children looked up at her expectantly. I have news about your artwork, she began carefully. It seems that the special supplies we used have some unexpected effects on alien biology. Did they like our pictures? Sam asked hopefully. Nancy chose her words carefully. The council members who saw your drawings were very impressed by them, especially your unicorn, Sam. It made quite an impact. Cool, Sam said proudly. However, Nancy continued, we've learned an important lesson about differences between humans and aliens. What's harmless to us might affect them differently. She walked to the supply cabinet and began removing all the glitter containers and glow-in-the-dark paints. The children watched curiously. From now on, we'll use regular crayons and markers for our alien friends, she explained. And we have to be more careful about sharing things between our cultures. After school, Nancy met with the school principal and a representative from the human government. They handed her an official document. What's this? She asked, reading. The cover. A citation for unintentional psychedelic warfare? You can't be serious. The government representative looked uncomfortable. It's just a formality. The council insists on documenting all incidents. But I'm an elementary school teacher, Nancy protested, not a chemical weapons developer. The council doesn't quite see the distinction, the representative replied. They've added art supplies to the list of restricted human exports right after clocks and champagne. The principal tried to look encouraging. On the bright side, the alien children are extremely eager to participate in the next art exchange. They've specifically requested to work with Ms. Williams' class. Nancy sighed. Let me guess. They want to use our glitter? Actually, the representative said, checking his notes, they've requested, and I quote, the mystical earth substances that open the gateways to cosmic wisdom. The council has established a research program to study the effects. As Nancy left the meeting, she noticed a new sign being posted in the school hallway. Attention! All art supplies must be approved by the Interspecies Cultural Exchange Committee before use. She couldn't help but laugh. First, explosive clocks, then reactive power cells, then pressurized champagne, and now hallucinogenic children's art. Humans were developing quite a reputation in the galaxy. The main chamber of the Galactic Council was filled to capacity. Representatives from all 27 member species sat in curved rows, facing the central platform. The mood was tense. After multiple incidents involving human gifts, the Council had called an emergency session to address what many were now calling the human problem. Ambassador Eric Taylor stood alone on the speaker's platform. He had been sent by Earth's government as a last attempt to salvage the deteriorating relationship with the Galactic Council. Behind him, a team of human and alien security experts waited nervously beside a small table covered with a cloth. Honored representatives of the Galactic Council, Eric began, his voice steady despite his nerves. I understand your concerns about humanity's gifts and technology. Today I hope to explain something important about our species. Council Chairperson Zex Lore, a tall being with shimmering scales and 4 arms, raised a hand. Ambassador Taylor, the Council has documented 4 separate incidents where human gifts have caused station-wide emergencies. The exploding clock, the reactive power cell, the pressurized beverage weapon, and the psychoactive children's art. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Eric nodded respectfully. Yes, Chairperson. These incidents were unfortunate, but they reveal something fundamental about humanity that I believe has been misunderstood. Please explain, said Zex Lore, leaning forward with interest. Eric took a deep breath. Humans are attracted to dynamic, interactive gifts that create memorable moments. Our history and culture value surprise and spectacle as forms of affection and respect. He gestured to the council members. While your cultures value stability, predictability, and safety in gift-giving, we often express our deepest sentiments through items that change, transform, or create sensory experiences. Several council members exchanged glances. One representative, with large compound eyes, spoke up. Are you suggesting that humans deliberately create dangerous items as symbols of friendship? Not dangerous, Eric clarified quickly. Dynamic, interactive, memorable. He paused, choosing his words carefully. What seems dangerous to you is often simply exciting to us. We don't wish to harm, but to surprise and delight. The chamber, filled with murmurs again as translation devices conveyed his words to all species present. "I have a proposal," Eric continued. "Instead of trying to change human nature or ban our gifts entirely, we suggest creating a formal human gift protocol that embraces our differences while maintaining safety." Zexlor made a gesture that humans had learned meant cautious interest. "What would this protocol entail?" "Dedicated facilities on all stations and planets, specially designed for human gift presentations," Eric explained. "Staffed by both human and alien specialists, trained to understand and safely handle our cultural items." Bomb Squad Commander Olivia Moore stepped forward from the security team behind Eric. "My team has been studying human gifts for months now. We've developed procedures that allow for safe enjoyment of human cultural exchanges." Some council members looked skeptical. Zexlor spoke again. "This would require significant resources." "True," Eric acknowledged. "But consider the alternative: continued misunderstandings, emergency responses, and deteriorating relations between our species." He turned to the covered table behind him. "With your permission, I would like to demonstrate our proposed protocol with a simple human gift." The chamber grew quiet. Many council members shifted nervously in their seats. After a brief discussion among the leadership, Zexlor nodded approval. "You may proceed, but our security teams remain on high alert." Eric smiled. "Of course. Commander Moore will guide us through the new protocol." Olivia stepped to the table. "This demonstration follows our new safety guidelines. First, I confirm the gift has been fully scanned and analyzed." She held up a data pad showing detailed readings. "Second, I explain what will happen before anything occurs." She lifted the cloth to reveal a simple crystal vase containing what looked like closed flower buds. "This gift is called a color-changing bouquet," Olivia explained. "When placed in water, the flowers will open slowly and release natural compounds that change the water's color. The process is completely controlled and harmless." She looked to Zexlor. "Would you do us the honor of completing the gift presentation?" After a moment of hesitation, Zexlor approached the table. Following Olivia's instructions, the council chairperson carefully poured clear water from a container into the vase. For a few moments, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the flower buds began to unfurl their petals. As they opened, the water in the vase gradually changed from clear to a gentle blue, then purple, and finally a deep crimson. A subtle, pleasant aroma filled the air near the table. The flowers now stood fully opened, vibrant and beautiful. The council chamber remained silent, but it was a different kind of silence than before. The representatives watched with a mixture of caution and fascination. "This is the essence of human gift-giving," Eric explained softly. "A moment of transformation, a shared experience, a memory created together." Zexlor studied the flowers with all four eyes. "The chemical reaction is quite beautiful. And you say this is harmless?" "Completely," Olivia confirmed. "The compounds are natural plant extracts that break down completely within hours." "Most impressive," Zexlor admitted. "And no explosions." Eric smiled. "Not all human gifts explode, but many do transform or surprise in ways that create shared moments of wonder." The demonstration was broadcast throughout the Galactic Council's networks. Within days, something unexpected happened. Requests began pouring in from various species asking about explosive human gifts. It seemed the carefully controlled demonstration had sparked curiosity rather than fear. 1 month later, Jack Nelson stood in his new shop on the Galactic Council's central station. The sign above the door read, "Human Experience Emporium, safe but exciting gifts from Earth." Business was booming. What had started as a diplomatic crisis had become a cultural sensation. The former bomb squad units had been renamed Human Experience Facilitators and were now the most sought-after posting in the Council's security forces. They wore special uniforms with a new insignia, a wrapped gift with a small starburst. Jack watched as an alien customer carefully carried out a package containing a simple lava lamp. The security escort beside the customer spoke into a communicator. Proceeding to designated viewing area with Class 3 human dynamic gift. Area is secured for fluid motion observation. Eric Taylor entered the shop, smiling at the busy scene. Quite a change from 6 months ago when they wanted to ban all human items from council space. Jack nodded. Turns out we just needed to explain ourselves better. Who knew aliens would pay premium prices for things that fizz, pop, glow, or change colors? The Council's latest report shows requests for human cultural exchanges have increased by 300%, Eric said. They're fascinated by what they now call our controlled chaos approach to gift giving. As they spoke, a small alien child entered the shop with its parent. The child approached Jack with a wrapped package. "For human friend," the child said in careful English. "Earth birthday tradition." Jack accepted the gift carefully. "Thank you. What is it?" "Is safe sand sculpture," the child explained. "No explosions. Very boring. Sorry." Jack laughed and unwrapped the gift to find a beautiful sand art display. "It's wonderful. Not boring at all." The child looked disappointed. "But not change color? Not make sounds? Not surprise?" Jack exchanged amused glances with Eric. "Sometimes the best gifts don't need to explode," he said gently. The alien child considered this for a moment, then asked with complete seriousness, "Then why give gift at all?" And neither human could think of a good answer to that very alien question.